high, you may get 500 to 600 gold off of it for the bars. You may get 10 to 20,000 gold off of a stack of 100 unrefined ore, however.
I don't know about that much.
It might be an exaggeration, but
maybe
it's
1,200-ish.
It's exponentially more than...
Yeah.
Because there's a chance of refining into the other mats.
I wish I'd have known that before I put all my stuff up for sale.
Yeah, if you want to sell materials in ESO, sell them unrefined, because refined stuff, people will buy it if they need it. Like, I bought stacks of refined bars because I was crafting something and I ran out.
Yeah, but I mean, buying the unrefined is 1,000 times better than selling it. One stack, if you get one Drew Wax, let's say you buy it for 1,200, a Drew Wax goes for 2,700. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a way better... It's a gamble, but it's a much more profitable gamble.
You could have it's a gamble, but there's a big, the
house always
big
wins
risk,
on
big
that, I'll
return
just say
kind
that.
of thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nice. Okay, and of course, with new crafting comes two things that I'm really excited about. New crafting style for Dwemer, and a new crafted item set, Twiceborn Star. If you've researched 9 traits, you'll be able to craft the Twiceborn Star item set. When worn in at least 5 different slots, this item will allow you to receive 2 different Mundus Stone buffs. No? Nothing?
Nothing? It's awesome, but, I mean, think about all the cool sets they already have. I got Warlock on, okay, so now I'm going to have to get a new headpiece with this cool Kypster thing going on. I mean, crafting's great, but at what point the sets are just too powerful not to have them? So crafting, once again, is going to be...
The drop sets or the crafting sets?
I'm sorry, the drop sets. I mean, when I can have infinite magic, essentially, another Mundus Stone isn't that good.
True, but here's the thing that I like. I don't think crafting should ever be as powerful as the drop sets. I don't. Because crafting is readily accessible. I think crafting should be everyone should have to get certain sets while they hope and drop for their drop chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I see crafting is. Like, it's viable. Like, people can raid in this stuff, but it may not be best in slot for your build as you will, because there's better stuff out there, but at least it gets your foot in the door. There's just a certain level of stuff that gets you in there. I still think they could improve crafting by making crafters need a special item to remove trait bonuses from drop gear, because I can tell you right now, I would much rather... If I see another piece of VR14 with expiration, I might just, crap a brick. That's just awful.
I think they need to offer materials in raids to drop, like really rare materials to drop in order to craft this item. You need that item.
I agree with that, because other MMOs have done that, where some of the high-level crafting recipes required a drop that only came from dungeons and raids.
Exactly, yep.
So it'd be like, oh, you need so much void stone, so much this, that, whatever the case be, but you also need this special orb that only drops from Arthurian Archive. There you go. So that would actually make a market for those materials for people who don't craft, and it would allow crafters to have something else to sell, because people would need to go to crafters who have a store of these materials to make sets for them. Chat bubbles. Okay. Chat bubbles. You can turn it on and off. That's really all that needs to be said about chat bubbles. And delve updates. The delves found in Alakir Desert, Eastmarch, and Malibu Tor are now larger, contain more monsters and loot. Every time I see one of those, I keep saying to myself, we need to go back and go to Rift, because that was one of the last zones we did, or Craglorn, and look at the delves, but we've never done it.
Yeah, you're not
and
going
all
to.
the times that we're in Rift, too.
Well, actually, here's the thing. We haven't got to Alakir Desert yet, so by the time this is done, they'll probably be larger. But I would like to see a comparison, to be honest.
We can probably Google that.
Someone needs to go to Alakir Desert, right now, and do a video for me, run through a delve, and then run through it after 1.5 comes out.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Sweet, you should do that. All right. One low-level delve in each alliance was also made larger. So in Oridon, was that Dell's Claim, Glenumbra Crypt Watch, and Stonefall's Emberflint Mine. Those were made large. Hey, there we go. I ran Emberflint. I can check that out. And Crypt Watch. I've done both of those. Sweet. All right. So that was Update 5 in a nutshell. Now here's some other little things I thought was kind of neat. Of course, for those of you who don't care, there's new dies and achievements coming in 1.5, which I'm assuming most people would have already assumed, but most of them are related to either the crafting or the Undaunted. So there's like new achievements for collecting all the Dwemer stuff, or Dwemer style, which is awesome. Being certified in all of the different trades, because you have to be certified as part of the crafting writ system. And of course, Undaunted stuff. Pledge taker for completing Undaunted pledges. Now, Deltia, me and you talked about this a little bit, and I'm actually going to link this in chat for the people in the live chat room right now. Bum bum. I had found this post on Reddit, and this person grabbed the PTS 1.5 patch notes right after they were released, like right away. But they were then later edited on the ESO forums, and they removed a specific part. They removed this field in particular. Fixed an issue when you turned nameplates off. Not all subcategories would turn off. So, Delta, what does that mean?
No idea, but if it's nameplates, I'm super excited.
Well, that's what I meant. Like, what does that mean? It means they're testing nameplates, apparently.
Oh, that's awesome!
And I think this is maybe something they had in a later update, and it accidentally made its way into these patch notes, and they had to remove it because, like, oh, that's not ready yet. But because this was there, it makes me think they're actively working on nameplates.
Yes. Yeah,
and they gave a little wrinkle on her face.
Oh, of course.
I so love Deltia. Oh, man. I think it's a horrible idea.
Why are nameplates?
Hey, here's the best part, though.
Turn it off.
Because when your target is over someone, you can see who that person is. It pops up saying, "Oh, this is so."
Hey, if you really want immersion, though, it shouldn't even do that. You should have to walk up and ask their name.
Okay, well,
there you go. There you go.
I'm out on the street. I can look at someone. I don't immediately know their name.
So should we just go poke everybody on the street? Hey, what's your name?
Exactly.
Can't
if
target
you want
them.
Total immersion. There should be no names. You should have to walk up to every person and ask them, "Who are you and what do you do?"
You know, a lot of times with Quest NPCs, they do that. You walk up to them and they go, "Hey, I am so and so of the so and so plantation." They do that. So I'm already set with my immersion thing, but to have that floating around, like, I only have one add-on, and it's for subtitles. So my screen is completely clear, and I like that my screen is clear. There is nothing mucking up my UI.
And that's completely valid.
That's you. Why should I have to play the way you want me to?
Just because I say so.
and the thing I love most about this game is they see that. There's an option to turn, like, I hate chat bubbles. They will never be on in my game. But they gave me an option to turn it on or off.
And I'm totally cool with that. As long as I can turn it off, I'm fine. I just love torturing Deltia.
Okay. Even this error was, hey, when you turn off nameplates, not everything turns off. It was an error that they were fixing, where it's like, hey, they want you to be able to turn it off. Kypster, what do you think about nameplates? I know Deltia, this is a big thing for him. Do you favor
I actually kind of agree with these. I'm not a big fan of the nameplates floating over everybody's head. I mean, if I can turn it off, okay. But if it's required to, I don't like it.
Well, see, that's one of the things that I'm glad they give us the option, because here's what other MMOs do that don't give you the option. Modders find ways around it for UI. I mean, you weren't able to move the default Warcraft bar around, so modders found a way to change it so they could move it any way they wanted. And eventually maybe if they ever open up the API all the way, it will happen.
I think if they really add this, they might have to change the API a bit, because there's going to be people who want to mess with that feature.
Oh yeah.
Because I know Deltia will definitely want to mess with that.
I want nameplates so bad.
Well, I found that little note, and I thought it was pretty neat. So
I mean, the reason I like it, let me explain that, is because Well, that I get a huge advantage. Like, let's say I'm calling targets for a PvP event where we need to get on the same target. I can see not only the person that I'm beating on, but who everyone else needs to beat on.
Hey, that's a perfect example for us too. Bub in the middle. If there was no nameplate, you'd have to try to find it.
Bub in the middle.
Bub in the middle.
Oh my gosh.
Inside joke.
That's a really good point. The bub in the middle.
Yeah,
We never see it.
You wouldn't see it if there wasn't a nameplate to click on it going dark matter bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what she said.
Yeah, that's completely true.
Yeah, in another game, one of the raid leader, it's hilarious, and I laugh every time he says it because he has this thick accent. So instead of saying bulb because it's a plant bulb that spawns, he says bub.
So there's a bub in the middle.
So like because they spawn around the platform that you have to kill, but sometimes they spawn in the middle, and if they grow to all the way, they will kill you. So you have to kill it. But every time he just goes bub in the middle.
And we look at each other and go, bub? Do you mean bulb?
Bulb? Bub in the middle.
Bub in the middle.
Inside joke. Anyway. But that's a nameplate that makes it easier to see because when the boss is sitting on top of it, it's hard to see.
It would be impossible without nameplates.
Here's another reason. Guild identification. It means a lot when you go into whatever, PvE, PvP, and you guys have to agree to this. I know you will. When you go into a PvP instance, for instance, or PvE, and someone is just ripping it, I mean destroying everything, doesn't need any healing, you're like, geez, that guy's good. You look over their name and it says hard contact. That means something. That's branding. That's identity. That's why guilds matter, is so people can see it. I'm sorry, it does matter. If you're an awesome PvPer, you want to show off, I'm in this guild, you can't have this tag. And here's why. You suck.
But if you're in multiple guilds, how will that matter?
If you can set it. If you can set it.
This is the one thing I would really, in terms of... All right, you have something else to say.
I have something else to say to Deltia. What all do you want shown
My name,
in player nameplates?
Name, title, guild.
I'm fine with that.
Are there titles in this?
Yeah.
There are titles?
Oh, yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, you have a title set. Mine's
don't
Pack
remember.
Hero.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Here's something that I actually want to write a post on it. Having access to the web API so we can gain access to like character achievements and stuff like that because I would like to see a raid tracking site. But in order to do that effectively, you need to be able to set a guild as your primary so that way credit for guild kills goes to that. Because say I down Arthurian Archive, right now it would go to or Wings of Fate, it would go to Dragon Guard, Hard Contact, and like 2 random guilds that are part of for selling. You know, that have absolutely who've never run it. All I use them for is selling. You know, there's no way to equally tracking these things.
I'm okay with putting a primary guild as long as it doesn't cut off contact with the rest of your guilds like it did in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 had a problem with that because you could represent a guild.
But once you represented that specific guild, you could no longer contact, see anything of your other guilds.
Yeah. I still think you should be able to represent a guild, and then any kind of achievements stuff gets attributed to that guild.
Well, don't we already have, like, your main guild? I'm in, 4 other guilds, but, I mean, Hard Contact's my thing. You have your main guild, really.
Main guild's only in your head.
Yeah,
it's in my head, right.
Yeah, but like you were saying, though, you want people to be able to see that Hard Contact is what you are representing.
And how would they do that? I mean, technically speaking, I have people who joined our guild who may have joined other guilds first. If you can't move the list, like where it says G1, G2, G2 to the chat, you can't move it. It goes in order of when you joined it.
It's probably an elitist point of view, but it's like guild pride. I mean, it's just, whether you're hardcore or you're like a crafter, it's like, I'm in this super elite crafting guild. Like, you work to get in that guild. You bring something to the table. You want to show it off. I mean, why wear cool armor? So you can show it off.
They've already...
Didn't they kind of make a way for you to represent your guild, though, with tabards?
But there's no names. There's no names.
Show off what guild you're in.
There's no names. What does black and yellow cloth mean? No one knows what that means. I mean, unless 500 people are wearing it, it needs to be a tag. I'm sorry.
I could see if they had a board that showed something pertaining to all the guilds that showed your guild emblem, and then that would be a way for people to go, oh look, that's the hard contact symbol. That's that guy.
Sure. There's, and I know I can tell this. No hate for ZeniMax here. I love you guys, but your guild system sucks. Period. I mean, it does. And no one can say it doesn't, because they've made it better, but look when it first came in. You couldn't even control ranks. I mean, they're making it better, and that's the thing they're doing. They are making it better, but as of now, there's no real reason to be in a guild.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Except for pride and leaderboards.
No, leaderboards are character-based.
Yeah, they are. They don't show your guild
They don't
on there.
show guild-based. It's character-based.
Are you sure? Because
Positive.
Because I get notices saying that so-and-so guild
Only
is
because
completed.
somebody who is in your guild happened to run a thing at that time.
Oh.
Yep. Not because of... And the worst part is you don't even know what guild that notification came from.
Are you
Yeah, it
serious?
could be any of your 5. Yep.
Yeah, it could be anyone. It just means somebody in one of your 5 guilds ran a trial and beat it.
So for me, those notifications are probably always from Deltia and Kypster.
Well,
Always.
I'm not a Trials guy, so it'd probably be Kypster.
So it's always
But
Kypster.
it could be anybody, and it does, and as long as one person, the current trial boards are all character.
When Nona Stella says something interesting, 100 only friend list? What? Same with guilds. What is it? 500 members? I think that the 500 cap on guilds is okay, because once you get to about 150 members, you start losing who your individual members are. And pertaining to what Deltia said, guild loyalty. I want to be able to know the people in my guild.
Unfortunately, ESO kind of does away with guild loyalty when they let you have multiple guilds.
I do like the multiple guilds. I really do. Because in other guilds, there is so much drama from people leaving super... the PvPers always do it. You're not good enough. I'm going to X, Y, and Z guild. I do like the being in a multiple guild, so you're not really hurting anyone's feelings. But setting one as your main, I think would be good.
I think so, too.
And the 100 only friends list, I don't know about you, but I only have about 5 friends.
You don't do dailies.
You don't do dailies, that's why, yeah. All right, we're getting long on this topic, so we're going to go ahead and move off. Even though it was a good discussion, I really do like it.
I'm mad at these, just saying that.
Wait, you're what?
I'm mad at you.
Why? What did I do?
You guys never mad at each other.
No, I know. That's nothing new for... You guys are never mad at each other on this show. What are you... This is new.
But Deltia, I love you so much.
Oh, I hurt you too.
Okay.
See?
I'm going to post this in chat for people, and I found this kind of interesting, and if you've been playing on the PTS, you might have seen this as well, but it doesn't really add in yet. And I noticed this, and it's kind of neat. If you log into the PTS right now, and you log into a zone and pull up like your menu, like your map or anything like that, there is now, in the upper left-hand side, the name of the zone you're in, and a bounty counter. Telling you it's a clock, and then your total bounty for a zone. It looks like they've let slip another little something in here. This looks like it's part of the justice system. So the justice system may be coming a little sooner than we all expected, because they've already got parts of the UI element into the essentially live game.
Yeah.
I thought you said PTS.
It is. It's on the
Well, then-
PTS, but the PTS is coming out. This is the version that's coming out to us.
Well, maybe they're just playing with it, seeing how it works.
I know, but you know what other game does this? Warcraft just did with their 6.0 patch, where they unleashed everything that was part of the Warlords of Draenor. You can't unlock anything yet because they still have the level restriction, but it's all there. But their expansion's coming out in like a month, okay? So this leads me to believe that justice system is much closer than we thought.
I don't know about that either. It's like in update 4 PTS, when that was on the PTS, they had like little signs for crafting writs. And I was all excited for crafting writs to come to update 4, but they never came. I think that just might be something that, just kind of slipped by.
But crafting writs are coming in update 5, which is now.
That does validate his point.
So if this justice system thing is now in Update 5.
But that's one factor. I mean, that thing is a huge implementation. So.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's
now,
pretty big.
is there any data miners in this game? There's always data miners in games, and I'm surprised there hasn't been one big one in ESO.
I'm surprised too. I was actually asking Ag that the other day if anyone's data mined anything.
Some people get into the API stuff pretty close, but a lot of the people who data mine, I'm going to say this right off the bat, some might do it individually. If you follow on Reddit, you can get some tidbits from time to time. But all the big sites like the WoW Heads and ESO Head, different thing. I used to love ESO Head. They haven't updated since 1.3.5.
Yeah.
Like the people.
That's not data mine though. That's something different.
No, but those sites are the ones who generally data mine because they need to fill their databases.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is the big company like the ZAM network doesn't care about the game as much.
Right now, yeah, they
don't care about it that much. So I haven't seen like most of the big sites like MMO Champion, which is all Warcraft and stuff like that, who do the data mine, the SWTOR miner, stuff like that. They all had database sites to update. That's why they data mined. I don't think there's any sites out there that are actively doing it now. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying supply and demand, that the game's not big enough or the need isn't there to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think people are doing it individually.
Well, you know why? Because they're so honest about what they're doing. It's not like SWTOR where you can't get a word out of the developer, so you have to.
We know more about the game before it's available. They tell us months in advance.
Starfighter's coming. Yeah, we knew that 6 months ago because the data miners found out. You idiot.
That explains why whenever I try and Google something that I'm stuck on in game, I can't find anything.
Just go to deltiasgaming.com.
It is true. Like they tell us stuff like most of the time, like you said, SWTOR, Warcraft. We found out stuff because it was data mined, and then it's announced like months later. Oh, these guys tell us, hey, we're doing Justice System. You'll be able to kill stuff. You're like, what? And then we find the stuff.
Yeah, it's so refreshing. It's shocking. You're almost like,
it is.
What? You're actually telling the truth and not BSing the customer base because of your IP? Weird.
That's different. But yeah, I just pulled this up because as Kypster said, the crafting writs, they had stuff in there in Update 4, and now it's here in Update 5. The way they led us to believe that the Justice System would be much later in their, what was it? Was the QuakeCon or whatever? They went through and said this stuff will come later and these other things will come sooner. Like even the facial animations during their presentation, like we're working on, but it's a way off. And they even had that as in I guess the last road ahead. The facial animations is coming much later, and these other things will come first. Update 5 honestly wasn't that long ago since the last road ahead, like a month. And to them, this is much later. You know what I mean? Or later on.
They got to take their time with this. They really do. They got to nail Justice System or it could really screw things up. They have to set that sucker on the PTS for 6 months. I mean, not maybe that much, but you got to test this thing.
I agree. And but I think the thing I love about them is they're very open about what they're working on, but they don't really give us timelines. And maybe I won't say spoiled. Thinking. I'm thinking on other games where they're like, oh, this is coming. I'm thinking it's 8 months down the road. And to them, they're going much later to us is only a month and a half.
Well, in this game, yeah.
The fact that this is even here, the fact that part of this is implemented on a version that we're actively able to get into makes me think this will come in either the next or, 6 or 7 rather than like 8 or 9 like I was predicting earlier. Like last episode, I think I was 8 or 9. I said Justice System. I think it's closer to 6 or 7.
It's 7 or more, I think. I mean, okay. What is 6 gonna be?
Justice System.
If 6 was a Justice System, I would be absolutely blown away. I think it's gonna be something little, and then 7's gonna be a juggernaut.
Sure. Well, that seems to be their thing. They
right.
do one big, one quality of life, one big, one quality of life.
I would be very happy with that if it was like before Christmas time. Maybe they did an event, which would be cool for this game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be centered around Christmas or anything, but like an event. And then after the new year, boom, consoles, drop the Justice System bomb. This game would skyrocket.
I agree. Kypster, what about What do you think?
I'm excited.
Okay. And
I really don't know. I mean,
guess. We just speculate. It's
speculation time.
I think update 7 or 8. That's my
Okay.
guess. I'm not thinking anytime soon. It's too big.
Well, even 7 or 8, you got to think of it in terms of 4 to 6 weeks. That's only
That's 3 months away.
Yeah, 3 months
that's
away.
still a long time. I mean,
Well, not in other MMOs.
yeah, I guess so.
My goodness. Go
We're
back
spoiled.
to Warcraft again. They've been on Siege of Orgrimmar for a year and a half.
It's really been that long since that game updated?
Yeah. No, since that raid has come out, has been a year and a half. That raid has come out.
Yeah, I'm happy that this game is where it is, and the people that are running it I'm just going to keep on paying them my sub and tell everyone about it, how great it is.
Oh, yeah. And before we finish off the game news, Ryan Estelle put up a good thing. You can see your bounty on PTS. He thinks it'll be update 7 because he thinks 6 will probably be the Imperial City. And I can see that.
Oh, yeah!
That sounds about right.
That
too,
sounds awesome.
But even so, that's 2 months. 2 months. Because this will drop, like we said, this will drop probably in 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks this will drop. So then we'll have 2 weeks of really nothing. And then another PTS. Is how it's been going. So, I mean, this is going to drop, and it would be fantastic.
Give me the city. Give me the city.
And I'm excited because it's Darkness Falls 2.0, and I love Darkness Falls.
I'm excited. No siege, no stupid fire. Vampires are getting a nerf. Life is good.
All right. Well, that's our game news, folks. We're going to move on to the next part of our show, and the reason why we brought Kypster on. It's our Elder Scrolls discussion topic, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. It's interview with a raider. And Kypster, he's a good friend of us and of the show. We all talk all the time, and he runs us through everything because he carries my Templar butt. But Kypster, first off, let's get a little background on your past raiding experience before coming to ESO and the guild you're affiliated with now, etc.
Well, I started raiding on Rift. I got kind of into the MMO scene late since I joined the Navy and did all that fun stuff.
Thanks
I didn't have
for your
time
service.
for games. Well, thank you. So yeah, Rift was my first raiding experience, and I absolutely loved it. I was PvE player all the way since then, and I actually haven't done any raiding since Rift. This is my first game since Rift that I've done raiding. I mean, I did a little bit in Final Fantasy, but I don't think you can really count it. I quit it too soon. Right now, I'm in DaFunk. They're a hardcore raiding guild, and we right now have been running the Serpent Trial pretty much every single night, working on progression.
Excellent. And just so you guys know, to me, that's a hardcore raiding guild. When new content comes out, it's raiding every night until it's down. Then you go back to like a 2 or 3 night raiding schedule.
Oh yeah, some nights we've been going like 8-9 hours straight.
Are you
That's
serious?
the same one. Oh yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome, dude. Now, give a little shout out to your guild. Didn't you guys, during one of their competitions, the ZeniMax comp, didn't you guys win like something or come in second or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of that, but they came in second place on that competition. It was AA and Hellra, just
nice.
speed runs.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, I knew we were talking about it, like you were saying in chat, when they were there, that they were competing in it, and that's really cool that they're competing, so that's awesome. And I know when Update 4 came out, I was running with you and 2 others from DaFunk in Dragonstar Arena. We were having fun in there. I feel bad because you guys saw my terrible character, so... But yeah,
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Even though I was a melee Templar,
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of, I'm kind of like the special needs kid in school. Like, you can't compare me to everyone else. Like, you're like, oh look, he colored inside the lines. That's awesome.
He's a cute little melee Templar.
He tried. Look, he did so good.
No, you actually did pretty well, and I was actually impressed with that because I'd never played with a stamina character ever since everybody plays with staves.
Well, I love melee characters in every game I play, so I knew I was gimping myself a little bit going into it, but it was a lot of fun. Okay. So now we got a little bit of your past background, stuff like that. Can can you give us your current feelings towards endgame PvE content prior to Update 4?
It was easy. I mean, there is AA. It's basically stack and burn. A couple of trash mobs, stack and burn. A couple of trash mobs, stack and burn. That's the whole thing. 8 minutes, fast, done. Hell Raw isn't the same, really. I mean, there's some moving around in Hell Raw, but it's still easy. It didn't take us long to figure out how to beat it.
Okay. I know, like, we were talking before, the way they were designed, you could cheese mechanics just by, as you said, stack and burn. Like, you could ignore whole mechanics of fights.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oof. That's never fun when you can do that. I know in other games that provide easy modes or when content's outdated, it's easier to skip mechanics because you out-level it, you out-gear it, whatever the case may be. But in this game, for current content to be able to ignore mechanics was, that had me concerned because while I level slow, I spend a lot of time at endgame, and that's what I like to do. And the current content really concerned me prior to Update 4 because I'm sitting there going, I come from a raiding content like Kypster. I raided in Warcraft. That was my first raiding game, but I raided in Rift. I raided in Final Fantasy XIV. I like that, as Deltia says, he likes a little smaller content, but it's the working together with a team to know what you're going up against, to work to overcome a large obstacle, something you cannot do by yourself, is a lot of the fun. Having a specific job and relying on other people to do their jobs, the healers to keep you up, the tanks to maintain aggro, to absorb the big attacks, etc., etc. Now, I wanted to do this interview with a raider for a while, so I'm trying to read through my questions here because I wrote it prior to Update 4 coming out.
Well, do you PvE at all? Or PvP, I'm sorry. Yeah, do you PvP at all, or is it really just...
I never PvP. I am rank 3 on my DK, and I just recently got rank 3 on my Nightblade just because I needed 15k to switch over campaigns for the buffs.
But you
That's the only reason I do it.
Okay.
Only reason is for the buffs. If I need to switch a campaign, I'll jump on there to grind some AP, and then that's it.
Here's something else. This isn't part of my question, but since Deltia brought it up, how do you feel about the Alliance abilities being some of like the best in slot skills for specific roles in PvE raids, like barrier, etc.?
Well, they're helpful in the raids for sure. I don't know if I really like that they're available for PvE when it's a PvP skill, but they're definitely helpful in situations in the raid.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind PvPing. Like PvP has to be in my game. I'm not like Deltia who can PvP, but I like the arena. I like to Battleground. I like the Alliance War from time to time. I like to do it. If a game doesn't have any PvP, it makes me sad.
You like the option?
I like the option.
To do it.
There you go. Nia says all about options, giving me stuff to do. I like to be able to sometimes just go out there and kill things. I'm not sure in other games like, again, I'm bringing back Warcraft because it was my largest raiding experience. At certain points, and this was a problem, some of the best gear was done through arena PvP, which is quite competitive and very hard to get into, especially if you're a PvE type player. It was annoying because like you couldn't get it unless you were like in the top 10 percentile, which was less than like 1,000 people.
And we didn't like you in the arenas either. So
yeah, and PvPers don't like us in the arenas because we suck compared to, we don't have that PvP mindset. We're just easy cannon fodder for them, which after a certain point, it doesn't give them enough rating to really want to fight us. It's rough. So I was never really fond of PvP abilities being usable in PvE. Like, I think they should have been separated. You shouldn't have to, I guess, go after it to be viable. But that's how I feel. Anyway. Now, how do you think Update 4 stacks up to the current content? Meaning current content was because I wrote this prior to 1.4. AA and Hellra. Is it harder? Did the developers learn from their mistakes with the first two trials?
I think they definitely did Trials, the Serpent Trial, so freaking hard. It is pull my hair out, slam my head on the keyboard, frustratingly hard. Oh, it's so much fun, though. I love it.
Nice. You just kind of made me a little flustered.
What makes it hard?
Well, okay, the first boss in there is just ridiculous because it requires so much teamwork. Like, there's a point where it'll suck a group of people down in underneath where they have to fight their own separate little boss, and then the group on top has to move in sync because the boss will throw down like a bunch of poison like spears, like the Templar's spear ability. Mm-hmm. And so they have to move out of it in sync, block at the same time because he'll throw down a stomp, and then at the exact same time, Nightblades have to throw down their veils, and Templars have to throw down their prisms just for the mitigation. And it all has to be in sync on time, and you do this over and over and over again, and it's hard. He has a lot of health. And just that fight alone, like we just started beating that boss consistently just this last week. It's not easy.
I was going to say, our next question was, how are the mechanics? Can you actually ignore them?
No, you can't ignore them at all.
Okay, so I know one of the things that with specific fights it really tells you whether or not it's a good rating guild or rating game is the type of mechanics. Because a fight that's the old school raids, like Dark Age of Camelot. Now this was 15 years ago. Their idea of a raid was getting 100 players to kill the dragon, which he really didn't have any real mechanics to him. He was tank and spank, which is a term you might hear fairly often, where you just hold the guy and everyone beats on him before he can do enough damage to the raid as a whole. Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of tank and spank mechanics within Serpent Trial?
Not really.
Okay. Awesome.
Not at all, actually. Well, there's two mini bosses. They're kind of tank and spank, but the first boss and the last boss.
Mini boss are nothing more than big trash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, how many bosses are in Serpent Trial?
Two big ones and two little ones.
Okay.
Are the little bosses in the whole thing?
Say that again, Deltia?
Oh, I was going to say 2 bosses in the entire dungeon?
Well, there's 4 total, but there's 2 mini bosses. They're not easy, but they're not that hard either. I mean, they're significantly easier than the first and the last boss.
Okay. Altherian Archive and Hellra, how many bosses did they have in them?
4.
4? Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, Hellra had 6 because there's a point where as a group splits up, and one group takes one boss and another group takes another boss.
I would almost say that's the same encounter, though, so I would count it as one.
Yeah, exactly.
I would assume if one group fails, everyone wipes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, same encounter. I guess that's the easiest way to do it if you talk about it in encounters rather than... Because technically speaking, even in Dragonstar Arena, for instance, the boss mob isn't just the only thing that you have to avoid. It's the entire encounter, all the adds he brings with him that's part of the fight.
Exactly, yep.
Okay. So... given the 2 mini bosses and the 2 large bosses, which is fairly small, but again, this is kind of like their first... I almost feel like raiding an ESO was an afterthought, something that they added in later, not a game built around it. With that being said, do mechanics vary between the mini bosses and the 2 other bosses, or is it a lot of the same rinse and repeat kind of... We've seen this mechanic on the first boss. He just does something else. Are they varied enough that each fight feels different and unique?
Every fight is very different and unique. I've never seen a boss like the first boss in any other encounter before. I don't actually remember what the second boss does. That's how insignificant that boss is to me. And the third boss is just nothing but a bunch of ads. You pull them in and AoE them down. And,
okay.
The last boss is just ridiculous.
Right. I guess I'll see if do you want to talk about the last boss, or I know your guild's still progressing on it. Not a lot of people have, so I understand if you don't want to give examples of that fight yet.
Oh, I've been streaming it. I don't think they're too concerned with giving away strategy. There's people that have beaten it already, so
right.
basically the fight starts out with the Serpent. Everybody runs in, and DPS is down the boss. And then at one point, there's a group called the Lamia Squad. They break off from the group when the Lamia spawn, and different colored totems appear. And these totems have a crap load of health, and each one does a different thing. Like there's a blue one it'll basically insta-kill you, anybody in the raid randomly, if you have over 30% magicka on you. So when the blue totems are out, you need to keep your magicka below 30%. You basically need to starve yourself. Yep. And there's a curse totem, puts debuffs on people. There's another totem that randomly pulls people to it. But basically what this Lamia squad does is they grab these Lamias, and when you kill one of those Lamias, they explode, and if you put it next to a totem, it explodes the totem with it. So they need to run out there and make sure that they kill these totems quick and fast and get back on the boss to DPS, because this boss has like 4.5 million health or something like that. It's ridiculous. After that, everybody's back on the boss again, DPS, and a Manicore comes out. And basically just switch to that guy and try and DPS him down. He does a ground stomp that'll probably kill people if he doesn't down in the amount of time, because at one point the boss starts doing AoE poison damage hardcore. So if the Manicores aren't down before that he starts doing that, people are going to die. Oh, and there's actually the next part is kind of crappy, I think. Is a part in the raid where it'll randomly spawn these orbs on the ground, and everybody has to grab one. And if it's basically like musical chairs. Like if you don't grab one, you're dead, because the AoE explosion hits, and if you don't have an orb on, the orb gives you a shield, you die. But yeah, that's basically the whole fight. You just do that over and over again until the boss is dead.
Okay. Now this brings up an interesting thing that I was kind of curious about. Like you said, you do everything over and over again, and I'm used to that. Is there phase transitions at all? Like some games later on will have phase transitions when they hit up to a certain percent, their abilities change. Have you noticed that in any of the trials so far?
Oh yeah, and on AA, there's at 30%, she goes into rage mode, and she just starts AoE damaging the crap out of everybody. And at that point, everybody stacks up in the middle, and everybody times out their mitigation ultimates, and we DPS the boss down.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad that they implement that rather than just one set. Now, that sounds awesome. Just to me, it sounds awesome. 4 bosses seems a little low. How do you... Let's talk about this. How do you feel about the current rating scene? I have this in... You came from a rating background, so you know all about rating scene, meaning the amount of people who are interested in it, the kind of draw it has, as well as the type of content that is put out and how long it takes until it's consumed. How do you feel the current that is up to right now, how do you feel that is poised?
I think it could get a lot better. I really wish that they had longer raids, like in Rift, and I'm sure that it was the same in WoW because it's pretty much the same game.
Yeah,
or they had
it essentially was.
Yeah, they have like raids where there's multiple bosses, and took you weeks to complete like one run, and I kind of want to see something like that in this game, or maybe even like a 24-man raid. I think that would be great. I just want something longer. I mean, these time things are fun, and it's cool to get on the leaderboard and everything, but it just doesn't seem like enough. Like, once people start figuring out the strategies for Sanctum Ophidia, they're going to be going down in a couple of hours, and it's...
Yeah. Well, that happens in every game. I mean... In any rate, like when you were first doing progression in Rift, or in my case, Warcraft, stuff like that, it took you hours and hours and hours to down everything. But by the time you had it on farm status, you could clear the entire raid in an hour or two. I think, and you can correct me here, you can add too, I think one of the major problems with ESO, and the reason why, like, I agree, 4 bosses is not a lot to me. And games like Rift and Warcraft had big raids back in the day, but I'm seeing a trend where they get smaller and smaller raids, like just like what Ice Crown Citadel in
Was 12?
12 bosses, and some of the later ones were like 6, 7. Like the end of Cataclysm was only like 7 bosses or something like that. They keep going down in number of bosses. And 4 seems very little to me as well, but I think the main problem with ESO at the moment is, and I think one of the reasons why they went with this type of design, smaller bosses, there's no lockouts, no way of saving your progress.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had I know you've been banging your head against Serpent Trial for a while, but having to go back in and redo all the bosses again every night would be a lot, especially during progression.
Yeah, that is actually kind of a headache. The first boss is no joke. Even now, still, we have trouble trying to get it down, and we waste so many lives on it. And once we get to the last boss, we only have 8 lives left, and it makes that last boss fight even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah. If you die a lot on the first boss, by the time you get to the last boss,
you don't have anything else.
You're even more stressed out.
Well, yeah, because as you know, Thais and I know, and Kypster knows, progression is a lot about dying and learning how to do the fight. But when you have limited deaths, you don't have a lot of time to learn mechanics.
In most games, it's just, if you can repair your gear, you can go back in because it's saved.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, if I was down to just lives, that would...
I'm like... And when we were on progression with Lich King, how many deaths did we really have? Over tons. We would have upwards of, I don't know.
Dozens?
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 In like the first 10 minutes.
Or hundreds?
I was going to say, you could go through hundreds of lives a night, but then having to... And this is per person. I remember doing wipes where it was 40, 50 wipes a night on bosses. But the lives in these trials are for each person. So when your raid dies, wipes, that's 12 off of your 100 stack. Not 1, 12. Yeah.
There's 12?
Yeah, 12. It's 12-man raid. So if your raid wipes, you lose 12 off that soul reservoir, not 1. It's not 100 wipes. It's 100 lives.
Kypster, how many total lives do you get?
36.
Oh, jeez, it's 3?
Oh, you only get 3 wipes total?
Yeah, but we found ways to kind of cheese it where, like, if we know we're not going to win, like, maybe, like, the downstairs group wipes, and then we'll have the tank hold the boss, and everybody will run to, like, where the boss unleashes, and it'll reset for us. So we'll be able to save some lives that way. But,
And Java Who in chat says, wow, she didn't know there were limited deaths. They actually implemented the same thing in Dragonstar Arena veteran mode. You get 100 deaths there, I think.
Yep, 100 in vet mode.
In veteran mode. So, like, when you guys were playing in... I know you guys were doing Dragonstar normal, right, Deltia, fairly often. The veteran mode is you get limited lives.
Oh,
the thing is, when you die, you have to start over. You don't get
die 100 times.
Well, 100 times you have to. Yeah, but 100 deaths in, like, we got up to, what was it, the Arena 3 in the PTS, and we got through those 100 lives. That goes quick.
One of the questions in the chat was, can you res in there? Can you actively res in the middle of the fight?
Yeah, but that takes away your soul reservoir too.
Yeah,
so if you battle res, that takes away.
Yeah, you have to have, you actually have to have somebody go and res the person. You can't just res by yourself.
Oh, yeah. Most games, like raiding games, when you die, there isn't, you can't use your E to resurrect, or you can't even respawn back further in the dungeon. You are locked from any resing while someone is in combat. So you have to wait until either the entire counter is over, or someone comes and reses you.
In Final Fantasy XIV, I like the way that they did it, because in any other game I could see that being abused. But the way that Final Fantasy XIV lets you res during raids is really strenuous. They put a high MP on it, and it takes a long time if you don't have Swift Cast. But you can res as many times as you want in raid.
Well, yeah, but their mechanics are, they also have raid lockouts, so if a boss is hard and you die 100 times on the same boss and you finally down it, but your raid week's not over, you don't have to repeat that 100 deaths. So the mechanics, I think that's one of the reasons why raids in ESO are not larger, is because there is no raid lockout mechanic. There's no way of saving your progress and coming back another night. Because, Kypster, you know it. Like, you've probably had those nights where, in other games, where if you've been hitting your head against the same boss mechanic for several hours, people are like, guys, let's take a break and we'll recoup the next night. But if you're past the first boss, you can't really do that in ESO, because then you have to beat that first boss again.
Yeah, I kind of think their death pool is kind of their equivalent to having that many bosses and being able to save your progress.
I get it. It just, it's a unique way of raiding, and I think it makes raiding a little bit more accessible to maybe people who can't dedicate, like you've been raiding every single night. And I've done that before. We've raided every single night. A raid guild to me is not a raid guild unless it raids a minimum 3 nights. Like, it has to be a minimum 3 nights, or this is just a joke. You're casual.
Yeah.
It's true. It is. Anything less than 3 nights, you're essentially a casual guild who you don't expect progression from them at any great rate. And even
you're not going to make
nights,
progression if you're just doing it once a week. You need that. You need to put in that time.
Absolutely you do. Maybe I know some of the harder raid guilds will get down to 1 night after they have it on farm, but that first progression, you're in there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually really glad that the current raiding scene, like, I was a little nervous at first because I'm a raider. I love raiding. And AA and Hellrod just didn't seem like what I was after. Now, like I said, their veteran dungeons were great. I'm like, why can't they just put this in a raid mechanic? Because like the veteran modes dungeons were fun, and they were the type of raids that I liked. Mechanics were interesting, but they were just shorter dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see that currently they seem to have learned a lot from their mistakes.
And I think it's only going to get better. Like, I've heard people talking about 24-man raids coming, and I can't wait for that.
I'm going to respond to Java Who here. My main character is not even veteran rank 5 yet, Java. I've done PTS.
What was the question? We don't know.
Oh, she asked me, have I beat Dragonstar Arena in vet mode yet? And I was like, no. My PTS character got up to round 3, and that's it.
I'm looking at the leaderboard right now, and only 14 groups have beaten Dragonstar Arena in vet mode right now.
I counted, yeah. And a lot of them are, I think it's the same group of people who bring in alternates.
Yeah, a lot of them is from DaFunk, actually.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, this thing has been out for a month now. And I think, what is it? Like, there's only like 34 people have beaten Serpent Trial in the North American Mega. 24 people. And a lot of those people are repeat people. Like, it's the same 8 people, and then the next couple numbers are maybe like fill-ins. Like, it's amazing how few people have actually beat the Serpent Trial. And like you said, DaFunk is... I ran with you and several people of your guild, and I gotta say, I feel like they're top class. Like, I felt terrible in PTS, like, I'm holding these guys back. Oh my goodness.
Oh, you weren't that bad.
But that is my question. How bad did it hold you back?
I'm like, they probably have beaten this already.
Honestly, we've gotten a lot farther without him, but I mean, it was his first time, so
yeah, come on now. And I wasn't playing the Elder Staves online. Give me a break.
Exactly.
I told you I'm the special kid. I'm special. He did
so
well. He colored inside the lines.
You're the best stamina user I have ever seen. You're also the only stamina user I've ever seen.
Not a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
I see. That's okay. I'm fine with this. And actually that leads us into the next question, which you did seem to a little bit answer, but how do you feel about the future raiding scene in ESO? Do you think it has room to grow? Do you think ESO has a type of raiding scene that people will want to stick with? Because there's got to be that sticky factor. I don't think raiding really picked up in games like SWTOR. Like, I don't think it did. Like, it didn't do real well. Technically speaking, raiding did not pick up real well in WildStar. because it was too hard to get into, whatever their cases was, but didn't have that sticky factor where people just didn't want to raid in that game. Do you feel that ESO has that potential, and do you see it growing?
Yes, I think that the developers are listening actively to all of us, and it's getting better every single update. All it can do is grow from here. I mean, right now, the rating is okay. I like it. I enjoy it. But it can get a lot better, and I'm sure it will.
Excellent. Awesome. Do either of my other co-hosts here, Thais or Deltia, do you have anything you want to ask Kypster while we have him here? Because that was all the questions that I kind of really had, and I think we got some really good information.
Well, we've been talking a while, but why do you like PvE in the first place? What's your motivation?
Well, I'm going to take this back to high school. I was a band nerd. I was in the marching band, and I loved it. It was a team effort. Everybody had to work together, and and be in step, and it's kind of like, because I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's the same thing in a raid. Like,
right.
You kind of have to like stick together. Each person has to do their part.
Follow orders.
Exactly, and it's just been my life. Like the Navy too. You're part of a team, and everybody has to do their part. And
what's cool?
I just love it. I'm just not a big PvP meathead like you, Deltia.
They're both one and the same. I mean, but yeah, it's the thing about PvE is you can control who you go in with. The thing about PvP that I like is you can't control who you go against. For me, that's a whole different type of challenge that I know that if I go against PvE, it's a matter of time and a matter of gear before I finish it. If I go against other people, it's just us. We got to figure it out. And it's, that's what's so exciting about it. It's dynamic. It changes.
Exactly.
I have to disagree with Deltia. I feel it's the complete opposite. When you go... Because when you're PvPing, you can choose who your team is,
but
and
you can't choose who you go against.
You can't exactly. You can't choose who you go against because PvP is chaotic.
Exactly.
There's no way you can plan for anything. There's no teamwork. It's just, you go attack someone and see if they die.
You are absolutely completely wrong.
I know that there's team effort.
You can't even plan what skills you're going to use because you have no idea what those other players are going to be doing. You don't know if there's people waiting in the wings. You can't, you can't really do anything in PvP. PvE is so much more satisfying because you really can move as a unit and as a team. And you can learn your players, and it's...
In PvP, you're going up against a dynamic situation where you have to think on the fly. There is no preparation. You have to listen to a leader, get on a target, and if you don't, everyone's dead. That's what's fascinating about it, is because you don't have that little, we're going to go talk about it and plan and this sort of thing. No. If you screw up, everyone's dead. And it's because someone else outsmarted you, outwitted you, and that's what's mind-boggling about how fun it is. You like the hard stuff? I like getting my face kicked in and then come back the next week with a group. Everyone's on the same target. We're all focusing people down. We're following orders and we're sticking together. We're following the plan. It's just the same type of thing, except you're going against a non-static environment.
Here's the way I see it. If you really want to, here's a simple analogy. The difference between PvP and PvE is the difference between playing chess and putting together a puzzle. Chess is you're playing against another player and the dynamics change. A puzzle will always be the same, but you still have to figure out how it all goes together.
That's a really good analogy. It's not a simple
puzzle. It can be a very difficult.
That's a very good analogy.
It is, because chess it's always the same rules. That's what PvE is. You kill the other person, you win. But how they play is different. A puzzle is always has a set output of this is what it has to be to win. But you have to figure out how it works and flows together in order to get the puzzle to work.
That explains why I hate chess.
And in one, you're versus the player, and the other, you're versus yourself. And it's kind of what it is, too.
And the thing is, like you said, with dynamic environment with PvP, is you still have to trust your people to do what they're doing. There is a high-level coordination, but there's not always, and this isn't always the case, but because of flexibility, I don't think there's as much static precision except from the top ends of PvP. And when I say static precision, I'm not talking about everyone on one target. I'm talking like, as he said, everyone has to be stacked at the exact same time. Everyone has to use their abilities at the exact same time. There's mechanics that require everyone to almost be on, like, everyone have a stopwatch, and when it kicks down to 30 and beeps, everyone has to use an ability.
I completely disagree with you. There is timing mechanics that are so vital to PvP. Like, you don't understand about CC breaking. You have a specific person that CC breaks, and everyone times their burst. So as soon as that 6-second CC break's done, boom. You don't have to tell people how to break it. You just do it. That's the timing mechanics.
It's very similar to PvE mechanics as well. Once they reach a certain point, everyone uses
exactly. But don't say there's you don't have the timing and precision.
No.
It's exactly the same.
It's a little different.
It is different, but they have the same level of timing mechanics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. The battle between PvE and PvP.
It will never end. It will never end.
Yeah.
No, and I agree. And you know what?
Chicken
I will
or
say
egg.
this. There's some insane precision. Like, I've seen the arena tournaments, and wow, it's insane, those PvPers. They are, when one guy dies, they're doing 3v3s. One guy dies, the whole team just gives up because that dynamic is over. And they're like, we'll get it next round.
That's a totally different than large-scale open-world PvP.
Okay.
Because that I could see being difficult and needing precision. But large scale, it's just you bash your head on the keyboard and hope you win.
But remember, where do I come from? I come from arenas. I don't come from open world Zerg versus Zerg. I come from high precision.
I don't actually agree with, I think open world is different in that I don't think there's as much control on the individual side as much as the larger scale side, whereas the leaders are directing groups as a whole versus individual players. Arenas, it's very much on the individual small team.
You can't hide. You can't hide in arenas. You can't hide. Your DPS can't hide. Your healing can't hide. In a big Zerg, you can hide.
Yeah. But unlike arenas, which are more on the individual, open world PvP in Cyrodiil is more strategic, as in this group will hit this wall, this other group hits this other wall. It's more of a larger scale. Like you look at each individual group as a single person to move along. Being
a top player in arenas, I really do feel is an art form, because I tried in WoW. I really did, and I was terrible, absolutely terrible. But then there's some people, and they're just so amazing because they do it for hours and they practice, and it is precision in arena, especially something like 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3. Just don't see that level of quality in the type of PvP that's in ESO.
Not yet.
That's my stance.
Not yet.
I will agree with her on this as a whole, but that's generalizing PvP as a whole, not in. I've seen individual groups of skill players wipe out entire Zergs because they know mechanics, but that's the minority, and they can still eventually be overcome if too much is thrown at them. But, okay. Interview with a raider, and no one else has any other questions.
Ended on PvP.
It ended on the discussion of precision, which is what PvEers like. We like that. It needs to be difficult. There needs to be split. Like, I've seen videos of some of the top guilds and stuff in other games where it's amazing. You would think it was one person moving, but it was 25 people moving.
Oh, I love that.
Like, you're sitting there going, it feels like one person is doing this and is controlling everyone because they're all moving exactly together.
That's how it is on the Serpent in the first boss.
Yeah.
The top group, the tank says, all right, everybody's going to move left when this thing drops. All right, move now. And then we all move as one. And you do that over and over again until the bottom group kills their boss, and then the fight restarts over again.
That's awesome. And that's, I love that. Because here's the thing. With that type of precision, and in these raids in particular, one person messes up, it could mean a wipe for everyone else.
Yep.
Everyone else could wipe because one person was not in par. Delta, do you feel that's the same in PvP if one person is not quite up to par if you had 12 people?
If it's 12v12 fair,
let's just say 12v12 fair. Yeah.
Then the way the game is right now, you're asking me no.
I'd say unlike because.
But remember, we're done arguing about this. So let's move on.
We are, and that's what I was just saying. I think in the way it is now, whatever, we'll go there. We're done arguing. We're not going to get into that because we're already at.
You're coming back, Ag. You're trying
240. Yeah, okay.
You're trying to keep it going. I'm leaving it.
He's backing off. Hey, looks like I won the PvP fight. Look at that. At least
PvE Master Race.
PvE Master.
I'm bunch with a bunch of robot killers over here.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's the end of our interview with a raider. I hope everyone actually enjoyed that. I really did. That was really awesome. Thank you so much, Kypster, for coming on. I've wanted to do that for a long time.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I love PvE discussion. We'll have to talk more anyway. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next section, which is our Tales of Tamriel, our personal story time. As is per our custom, our guest always goes first. What have you done in ESO this week?
Well, I've been very busy at work lately, and I haven't had a whole lot of time to get into game. And whenever I am into game, it's to do raiding. So I already told you my tales for the week. It's been doing Serpent over and over and over again. That's pretty much it.
Nice. That's awesome. Deltia, how about you? What have you been doing in ESO this week?
Just playing my Sork nonstop PvP, and it's been a blast. You cannot kill me. You cannot kill me. It's awesome. I finally found a range character that reminds me of my power attack back in the SWTOR, where I'm going to push you off me, you're not getting to me, and you're going to burn. And in this game, it's lightning. I love it. It's just, it's so fun. I am the killing blow master. That's when you can tell if someone's good at PvP in a Zerg, if they can get killing blows. And for me, it's just, I like it now because I know how to get into fights right away. I don't have to wait to start fighting. But the Zerg mentality does get old after a while. I'm just looking forward to Imperial City is trying to find my class that long term I can stick with and not get bored.
Templar.
No.
Melee Templar.
It's Nightblade.
Nightblade's
where it's at.
I do not. Well, PvE, DPS, yeah, it's great, but PvP, I'm not sneaky guy. I never have been. I think it's cheesy, cheap, and I want to go toe-to-toe with you. But keep in range with your Sork, and Streak has to be the coolest ability in the game. If you've never used Streak, it's just, you stun people.
In ESO.
Yeah, well, you got to play a Sork at least to get Streak, and then see, you can't put it down after that, especially in PvP. When you got 20 people chasing you, you got the Warlock set, and you cast 10 streaks in a row, and you're across the map. I love it. So that's it. Enough ramble.
Call that cheesy?
Oh, it's cheesy. It's completely cheesy. But when you're the guy doing it, it's great.
It feels awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Speaking of, do you have a build for your sorcerer, like your site or anything?
It's called Frag Out. I'm finishing up. I'm just testing some more. I got to get a couple pieces of gear, finish up my thing, and this build, you ready for it? Has 3 bars. 3 skill bars.
3 skill bars.
The Sork,
3 skill bars.
The Sork can have 3 skill bars.
Oh, with power overload.
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
So
nice.
It's gonna be out probably by Thursday. I got to get 500,000 AP by then to get a couple of rings. So yeah, it takes a minute.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't think Thais and I had any time to play. We've been like super busy. I played a little bit by myself, and then Shadows of Mordor came out, and unfortunately that consumed my soul. But it's a single player game. I'm actually already at like 60-some%, so I'll be done with it in like the next day or two. But I actually got to play earlier in the week while I was waiting for this to finish downloading, because you know how long it takes me to download anything here. I played a lot on the PTS, actually, and I've been messing around a lot with the two-handed weapon skills, because they're changing a lot with two-handed weapons. Cleave now does more damage, which is kind of neat, but they're lowering the ultimate from 3 to 2. a slight nerf in ultimate gain, but the damage increase may make up for it because it was kind of weak before. The only reason why you would ever use it, at least the only reason why I would ever use it, was to gain ultimate. I'd only ever really use it if there were multiple mobs because it doesn't hit hard enough to gain enough ultimate by itself. But with the damage increase, I think they raised it, like 10 or 15% just flat damage increase. It might be a little bit more viable with fewer targets, which I would like to play with. Because I know they're trying to up it a little bit to be a little bit more in par with Impulse, which we all know is kind of crazy. They messed with Critical Charge, which I may remove off my bar and keep my Gap Closer on my second bar going forward, because they changed the base damage of it, but increased the damage based on how far away you are. It kind of makes it a little gimmicky when you're going into a fight. It's really nice to use because it does a nice burst bit of damage, but they lowered it so much that even though it's a crit, the crits aren't hitting near as hard as they were. I'm seeing like 100 damage decrease on it. Like it was critting on my character before for somewhere between 700 and 800 damage, which was a lot. But now it's doing like 500 to 600. So it was a fair nerf in terms of raw damage. And they also increased the damage and reduced the cast time of Wrecking Blow. Kypster, have you played with Wrecking Blow or Deltia? It was kind of a dumb mechanic before. You didn't want to use it in anything because it was like a second and a half or something like that cast time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm back.
Oh, that's okay. Wrecking Blow before was kind of dumb because it took like a second and a half in order to actually cast. It did knock the target back, which was nice, other than like bosses and stuff like that. But for PvP, you were locked in place while using it, and it just kind of sucked, and it took so long to cast. It was dumb. But now they've reduced it by like 18%, so it's less than a second, a little over half a second to cast, but you can move while casting it now.
Does it do the same damage? Or
I've seen it do, yeah, the damage hasn't changed at all. I think it increased a little bit, because it does hit like a truck, and it always hit like a truck, but when it locked you in place, and a second and like a half of casting was a lot of time. But the fact you can now move while swinging is really neat, and
so it still uses stamina, right?
Oh yeah, it's still stamina. Oh, stop it. But yeah, it does hit like a truck, and it feels a lot faster. I might actually move that to my bar as a main go-to.
Momentum's way better now.
Momentum, yeah, I'm getting to that as well. The other one, Executioner, was changed a little bit.
How so?
Well, they're trying to boost the other one up to try to make it look better, because no one takes the other one, the reverse slice or whatever. Not reverse slice. What is it called?
Yeah, it's reverse slice.
Is it reverse slice? Yeah. Okay. No one takes it because it does a little bit of splash damage. Well, now they made it splash to like 2 or 3 targets, and they've upped the damage on it. So it would actually be a pretty nice contender for an AoE type fight. If you, I don't know. Here's the thing. Cleave is still really nice with the ultimate gain. I don't know. But Executioner, they lowered the damage on it a little bit to make it less attractive compared to the other build. I may end up removing that from my bar as well, seeing as Flawless Dawnbreaker is, well, problem is I need something as an execution ability, but Executioner makes everything an executability after 20%. But that would make me just not want to use Execute and sit on my bar for nothing, because I would rather use Wrecking Blow. I don't know. It's rough. But yeah, Momentum is sick now if you haven't played it. They changed it. Before it increased your damage by, was it like 10%? Your damage by 10%, and then gained 2% every second for the next 10 seconds or something like that. So you ended up with like 30% bonus damage by the end. And Rally added a little bit of a heal over time when it ended, or a little heal when it ended, not a heal over time. The way they changed it now is they lowered the total damage of it, so it doesn't do 30%, but it does a flat 20% all the time. And while it's running, it has a constant hot ticking off on you, a heal over time, constantly. And you can actually activate the hot for a heal anytime you want by just reactivating the ability. So you essentially have a stamina heal. And it becomes more powerful the longer the ability is going. So you get the hot, and if it runs for, like right away, you do it, you get a base heal, which is fairly powerful, like 500 hit points or something like that. But if you wait until it's almost over, you get 500 plus the amount of damage that it would have healed in the heal over time added, so it becomes like an 800 heal. It's pretty sick now. Like, I don't know why any melee person wouldn't want it on their bar for a two-hander. 20% flat damage all the time, a constant hot ticking on you, and an on-par heal. You can essentially remove a direct heal off your bar at that point. I've liked it a lot. And it's stamina, so you don't have to sacrifice magicka. We talked earlier, if you're a stamina build, you're, if you have points of magicka, you're splitting the pie here, and you're not getting the full benefit. Well, now, if you had a magicka heal on, you couldn't use it all that often. But if you have a lot of stamina, stack stamina for stamina build, you now have a heal that you can activate as a heal using stamina without having to have a magicka heal on your bar, which is pretty sick. I like it a lot. So I've been playing around with that a lot on the PTS because I'm a two-handed weapon user. That's what I like. And when I saw all these changes, I got giddy. I'm like, so that's what I've been playing on. And of course, if you haven't been following our YouTube, I've been doing a little Aggelos' Saga where I play one of my alts when Thais isn't around and we don't play together, because we always play our mains together, but I have an alt that I just mess around with. And I've been playing a Nightblade going through Stonefalls, and I did a couple episodes of that, and they're about 45 minutes long each, so I spent a couple hours this week doing those. Made it all the way up through Ash Mountain, and I'm making my way over to Ebonheart now. And I did the Bala quest there, Thais. Yeah, I got up to that part again.
Did you change it at all?
I told her that he wasn't buried there, and she didn't want to believe me, said she'll continue searching forever.
So she didn't kill herself, though?
I didn't find her body yet.
Oh, yet. Yes. Did you search along that riverbank?
I haven't got up to Ebonheart yet.
Because that was really freaky.
I haven't got up to Ebonheart yet, so maybe she's still laying there.
I really hope not. I would like to have hope that she changed her mind.
There's one option that she doesn't kill herself. Just one.
Oh my gosh, that was so heartbreaking.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I did on ESO this week. I did a lot on the PTS. I did a few episodes of my Aggelos' Saga on my Nightblade. And that's about it. And then Mordor sucked my life away. So I have to revenge kill because Kypster keeps giving me orc captains to kill because they keep killing.
Because I suck.
Yeah, there's a neat little mechanic.
Ag isn't much better. I sit here and I watch him play, and he dies all the time. Every time I turn around, he's getting mad because there are like promotions going off everywhere because he died 6 times in a row.
It's because I abuse the death threat mechanic and I make the bosses harder, and they start bringing other bosses with them.
The one time he got cornered by like 8 different orc captains.
Yeah, I go to move and they have that little talk thing where they're like, hey, whatever. Every time a new captain is introduced, he kind of taunts you a little bit through a little cutscene. I couldn't even move because every second it was like, hey, I know. And they just kept coming. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There's like 8 of them here.
Did you win?
I don't think I killed like 4 of them before they took me down.
Better than I would have done.
But yeah, single player game, it's a lot of fun. But the deep mechanic is any friends you have on your Steam list, if they die to an orc captain, you get a vendetta mission in your game where that captain gets imported into your game and you can avenge their death. So I haven't been able to advance the main storyline because Kypster keeps sending over a bunch of them. Like I look at my map, there's all these little vendetta missions. Avenge Kypster. Avenge Kypster. I'm like, I can't even see my own missions anymore because it's all I have to avenge him.
And no spoilers for Ark.
No spoilers. Just it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a good game, Ark. You'll like it.
It is a good game. I
It's-
haven't played it, but I actually enjoy watching Ag play.
It's Assassin's Creed in Middle Earth. That's what it is.
It's really, really neat.
Okay,
I'll stick with ESO.
Yeah, this is an ESO show, but that's why I haven't played a lot of ESO, because it finally downloaded.
Cheater.
Yeah. Hey, it's a single-player game. It's only got like 30
You're
hours.
cheating on ESO. What's up?
It's just a little...
I do not... DeltiasGaming.com does not approve.
does not support the...
At least he's not playing Arcade.
Yes.
Then he would be a cheater.
Oh my! All right, keep it moving, or you're gonna get Aggelos on a hate game rant here. Going.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. All right, so that's our tales for this week, and I should be done with Shadows of Mordor this week and back into ESO pretty hardcore again. Especially when Update 5 hits and I can actually level up my VR fairly quickly.
So you'll be like Vet 5 in about a month, or?
Maybe. Well, once the experiencing, a lot of the stuff I do, I kill things for no real reason. I'll probably level up faster once Update 5 comes in because I'll be gaining a lot more experience. But as the current veteran system is, you really don't gain veteran points for killing stuff.
When are we going to have our Cyrodiil showdown, the Ace and I?
Oh, man. Well, we were supposed to have it the last time we were in Cyrodiil, but you decided not to show up.
I want in on this.
My ovaries were sick or something.
Nice.
Right.
Well, the next time we go into Cyrodiil, we have to have our showdown.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Double sorking it.
Double sorking it.
I'm so gonna win.
All right. We're going to move on to the next part of our show, which is the dramatic reading. We're continuing our book set for Shadowfen lore with book number... Oh my goodness, I don't even know which book number this is. But, it's the 6th book in the series, and it's on the Nahaten flu. So Thais, take it away.
Okay. Background. How this disease began and spread is a mystery. By gathering information, I hope to resolve the issue. Argonians appear immune to the flu. This has caused conjecture that they actually introduced the flu to retaliate for years of slavery at the hands of the Dark Elves. These claims have never been proven or disproven, and they require more research. Mitigation. Methods that slowed the rapid spread of the flu included burning the belongings of infected people, which, unfortunately, sometimes including burning remaining family members, segregating the sick into ghettos, or walling them up, or putting the disease onto ships and setting them adrift. Normal curative spells and elixirs were inconsistent in their ability to cure the flu. Symptoms and course. General malaise, loss of appetite, and fatigue begin several hours before an afflicted victim develops other symptoms. The afflicted person's eyes water constantly. Skin develops a bright red granular rash, which that does not itch. Within 24 to 36 hours, victims suffer nosebleeds. Their tears contain blood, and granular rash spreads over their bodies. At this point, victims develop a deep, raspy cough. Within 36 to 48 hours, the victim's coughs produce bloody phlegm. In most cases, death takes place in as little as 72 hours after the initial onset, but some victims have lingered for 5 to 7 days. Treatment. When the Nahaten flu first spread, it seemed unstoppable. No reliable treatment against it has ever been proven. 10 years ago, a young Redguard named Parizada claimed she had had a vision from the divines. She replicated the cure from the stream, testing it on a village scheduled to be razed, together with its inhabitants. Her cure worked, and the village was saved. The cure required clanfear claws boiled in salt water. The patient would then drink the liquid. The increased trade of actual and purported clanfear claws in the black market caused prices to soar wildly. So many false cures had proven fatal that Parizada's cure was never officially sanctioned. As Parizada later died of the flu herself, its efficacy was eventually considered dubious at best. The clanfear cure has given rise to many other supposed cures, all of which involve boiling something in a liquid and then drinking the result. For the poorest of the population, chicken broth proved not only cheap, but easily obtained. It typically soothed their coughs, which in turn allowed the patients to breathe more easily. Chicken broth is definitely not a guaranteed cure, but it is certainly the most accessible. It is recommended should this dread disease ever return. As the granular skin rash was non-irritating, many left it untreated. Those whose rash remained covered, whether in bandages, poultices, or simply clothing, seemed less likely to infect those who attended them. This also accounts for the much slower spread of the disease in colder climates and during winter months. Have you heard of other cures? If so, please submit your reports directly to me for further investigation.
I know with when this came, I think the hot flu wiped out all the Kathringi, I believe.
Oh yeah, except for that one village.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Spoiler, but yeah.
But I know that wiped out their entire populace. I know there's actually some of the lore talks about the Slowed, which are like a slug or a type people. Slug or I don't think it's slug. I don't know. Some sort of a marine life animal that live on some islands between Akavir and Tamriel, the continent. They said sometimes they believe they were responsible for the Nahaten flu, but it's interesting because this happened actually during this era, I believe, or close to our time period in ESL, which is really neat. All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is our guild corner. Deltia, you want to say anything about yours?
Sure, a couple things. I've been doing a lot weekly, daily events type thing with Akatosh, ESOTR's guild. Also, Medj and Kodog from our guild are going to host a Skyshard run for anyone in the Aldemary faction who doesn't really like to do PvP but wants to get all the Skyshards, dolmens, and achievements done. They're going to basically take a big group. They took 2 groups, full raids, and got all those Skyshards and stuff, so they're going to do it again. That's going to be on November 2nd. I'll have more details on my website. Just go to deltiasgaming.com/calendar. So there's no need to sign up or anything. Just come on by, and I will be announcing the campaign later, so I don't get gankers coming. But yeah, looking for that. So that's going to be kind of our next event. Also, Akatosh and Hard Contact are going to host a Halloween party. And the Biomance, we're going to do a costume party with rewards and have judges and everything. So if you're looking to do that, that's going to be on Halloween night. More details on the website and stuff. But yeah, we're starting to get more organized, do a lot of cool events thanks to Java Who and, you know, all the other guildies that are putting the stuff together.
Nice. Excellent. All right. And, of course, if anyone's interested in joining Friends and Family Guild of the Tales of Tamriel podcast, you can either contact myself, it's Aggelos, Aggelos, or Tear-Ear, Teareater in-game for an invite. Kipster, are you looking for anyone for Dragon Guard?
Always looking. I'm not anywhere near as organized as Deltia's guild or Akatosh, but I've been really busy lately. Soon in the winter, my work schedule is going to die way down, and I'm going to get more into this. But yeah, right now we're basically looking for anybody who's interested in endgame PvE content. You have to be EP though. Ebonheart Pact.
Nice. Maybe by winter, the East and I will actually be of level. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Waiting on me. I'm sorry. So sorry. I really need to do like a Shada's tier run or something just to get the VR14 so I can do everything.
Do the thief.
Thief?
Do the
thief runs.
Just sit there and
I try to talk Thais into it, but she doesn't want to.
To do what?
To level the VR14 through like the thief or Shada's tier, and then go back and do questing at my own pace.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you still level skills up that way.
But then you don't really get to experience the story. It'll be different. Because when you're max level...
But you're the one who wants to go through dungeons and feel super powerful.
That is true.
Boom!
But not when it comes to my questing. Because I
like Thais, you're a party pooper.
Like, because... But...
I see. To me, I do it for the story.
Yeah, because when you're leveling through the story, you actually enjoy sitting there.
What about making an alt and going to endgame, Egg?
I spend so much time with my guy right now. I have like almost 200 sky shards.
Yeah, but he's a Templar.
Hey, shut up. I love my
Templars are good. Come on.
He's a Crapplar.
Well, you can join me in the ranks of being a horrible player.
Horrible player versus horrible class is different.
Templars are good healers. Come on.
They're good cannon fodder.
He is a horrible healer. He's let me die multiple times.
Well, maybe it's just because it's you.
Oh. Learn to block. Oh.
Learn to block. Nice. All right. Double tap. Unless you're a stamina user. You need that stamina.
Yeah, you gotta stand on the red if you're a stamina user.
Just stand the red and hope they heal you.
So pretty much what they're saying is I need to let you die more. Okay.
Okay. All right. That's awesome, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to our last section here, which is just our emails and iTunes reviews.
Okay, iTunes, great show, 5 stars by Tree Heel. I just started listening and playing ESO a few weeks ago. Hooked on both. I've listened to every episode to date in just a few weeks. I never get bored listening to this show.
Excellent. I'll address that part right there.
Okay. Hands down, the best podcast for ESO out there. 5 stars by Posh Rocky. A wonderful podcast, thoughtful, considered, human, and entertaining. The hosts, levels of humility accounted and discounted for. Aggelos, Spider's Bane herself, and Eater of All the Tears, Thais. And Deltia, totally expected a different person from the videos. He looks like a skinny Dragon Knight cross with Ryan Gosling. Deeply strong and detailed experience of their time in ESO.
Oh.
I would say the primary strength of the podcast is the interplay between the three. It is a bit like being the fourth person in a dinner party conversation with friends. Aggelos, who loves saying a Canadian alrighty, time and time again, chairs the meeting and Bates encourages Thais and Deltia to fight or debate. I find your positivity over the Templar and life in general fun, Aggelos, and in general, you are one of the better and more fun podcasters to listen to. You have a voice for radio, sir, and I encourage you to do more in this medium. Thais, what can I say? You are lovely and fun and spin a great web of debate, and I think you're just what the community needs to become caught and entangled in the debate of fun spindles you foster. I can't find any more spider puns now without being so obvious. So go Pink Ranger and keep it up. Also, you have a great deliver and seem really scared of spiders. Watch Eight-Legged Freaks. Oh gosh, already seen it? No thank you. Deltia, your channel is great, and can I just say it's so refreshing to hear from a meathead PvPer, the sophisticated and considerate process you employ. I enjoy watching you punch the numbers and debate strategies so maturely. You are no longer to be called meathead PvPer. I dub the Paladin of the podcast, or indeed the Crimson Aegis, as you always in PvP seem to run to protect others and generally kill the attacker. Seriously, you three could make a career off this if you wanted. It's that good. I wonder sometimes if it is ESO planting a fake podcast to promote itself while knocking it to seem legit. Guys, a long email from the holidays in Argentina, home of the Argonians. Aggelos take note and Thais soon, but otherwise, praise that's been a long time coming, and from an Englishman, it's kind of rare. But please take note that your efforts are appreciated and enjoyed, and are worth so much to this community. I wish ESO would realize what you three do and reward you. You so deserve it and are the antipathy of what ESO is. Human, immersive, realistic, and emotional. Thank you. Thank you again for the time and effort. Yours most respectfully, and after a few glasses of Malbec, so forgive spelling. From Liam Ryan.
Wow. Wow.
Just so in case anyone doesn't believe this, this is from our iTunes under the EU side, England side. Sorry, it was there for a while. I feel bad. I keep forgetting to check other countries. So sorry to Posh Rockies. He wrote, this is all out there. In case anyone doesn't believe me, you can check it out. I forged none of this.
Well, that was,
but he wrote an absolute fantastic review, and was very kind to us in a lot of ways. And I feel really bad that I didn't notice it. I'm just like 2 months old. I feel really bad. Sorry to all of our EU listeners out there. I just keep forgetting to check stupid iTunes separates everything by country, so if I don't go through each country, I can't see reviews.
That was difficult to read, and I understand why, because he was already drunk.
And he wrote it from an iPad, too. I left
okay.
that part out as well.
Because there were a couple of times, like, what do I say here? But that was amazing. Like,
That was thoughtful.
Teary-eyed here. That was awesome.
He wrote a book. Like, when I looked at the
cool.
review, I'm like, wow. So we do really appreciate that. I'll talk for myself, and I'll go around to each of the people here. I'll address that then. Actually, Thaís, what did you feel about it?
What?
The whole thing, like, just, say your thank yous.
It made me teary-eyed to read that. We thoroughly enjoy doing this for everybody. We have fun talking to each other. Even though I debate with Deltia, I respect his opinions. I love his thoughtfulness. He is a great person to have on the show. And, of course, I love Ag. And we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for all of you guys listening.
Mm-hmm. Deltia, I know they mentioned you in there too, good sir. Do you have anything you'd like to say to Posh Rocky?
Yeah, that was really thoughtful. It really was. I appreciate that. I mean, I enjoy it too, but to hear someone took the time to write something that nice, that's really nice. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And obviously from, our point of view, thank you so much for writing that. We do all this, we do it because we enjoy doing it, but knowing that other people listen to our show and really appreciate it and like it, it does mean a lot. I've gotten to interact. I think I've made more friends from this than I have from Bailey's. Oh, yeah. See what I did there?
Wow, that's good. Bring it around.
What dailies?
From dailies. So, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to write all of this, and you flattered. I tell you, I blushed a little bit when reading it. I'm going to be manly and pull it out there. Yeah.
So manly.
It was very heartwarming to read it. Now, he did have something here. I said I was going to address this because he did listen through all this, and this was a while ago. He asked where Krabby was. Now, I've never officially said anything on the podcast about this, so I'm going to say it now. For anyone who is listening, Krabby was a host that we had here. He helped us out from, I guess, episode 6 through 15 or something like that. But around episode 15, he was getting kind of bored with the game, didn't really like the way he was at, kind of like the VR stuff. And he kind of up and disappeared from us. That's why he kind of abruptly ended, because he didn't tell us he was going anywhere till sometime later. I think he gave his account away. That's how we kind of found out. And he quit the game and I guess went to WildStar, which, again, Hop 2 didn't like it, decided it wasn't for him. And he came back to ESO, and he now plays that along with, I guess, Warcraft now. So he jumps back and forth, and so that's where he's at. He didn't feel like the game was where he wanted to be, and he just decided to quit one day, and that's why he was no longer part of our show. But yeah, he's still in game from time to time. You may be able to find him. Rest of the time, I guess he is now waiting on Warlords to drop for Warcraft. I talk to him from time to time when he hops on ESO, but that's why he's no longer part of our show. So yeah, I wanted to address that because he did ask that question. I've talked to that individually when people have asked, but I haven't brought it up on the show just because. But I guess it was about time we officially, announce why. Okay, and now we have a few emails too.
Okay. Hello, fellow travelers of Tamriel. I would first like to say I have been a fan of the show for the past few months, and you are doing a cracking job of delivering all my ESO news. Thank you. I am looking forward to this new champion system taking full effect, but I am a little confused on what is going to happen to all the current VR level areas. At the moment, I'm working my way through Cadwell's Silver in a VR3 ranked area. The champion system would remove these ranks and replace them with what? Will it mean that all the 50 plus areas are going to have mobs ranked the same? Will the mobs from a VR1 area be as easy to kill as the mobs from a VR14? Also, how will this change when a new patch is released? Will we get an extra 5 levels to work through before we hit the endgame content, like World of Warcraft, or do they have something else in mind? I know a patch is a long way off, if at all. The game is still only just 6 months old, but I would hate to see a game of this quality fail because it hasn't got a decent way to improve my character. Looking forward to your next podcast and Deltia's next guide for Nightblades. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, James from the Provis EU server.
Okay. We have a lot of EU fans. Before we read that next,
really
we move over this. First off, I'm going to talk about this, and you guys can tell me if you think it's something different. I imagine what they're going to do is the zones we're going to remove veteran ranks. They'll all be gone. But I believe mobs will have what would be considered a champion rating, because they're going to have champion levels. Like, as you gain champion levels, you get champion points. They're going to probably have champion levels. So when you look at a monster, you'll see, oh, it's level 50, and maybe there'll be like a little icon or something going, it's essentially equivalent to a champion rank 15 or whatever the case may be, to kind of attribute how many champion point passives it would have. That's how I see that happening, because I think that's how other games like EverQuest and things like that did their alternate advancement, where mobs got subtle stat increases based on what their champion ranks were or what their alternate advancement. Do you guys see anything different?
I honestly have no clue. I think that's a great... I didn't even think of that. I completely spaced that off. I had no idea, but yeah, that's a great way to look at it. No idea.
Okay. Kypster, what about you? Do you have any ideas on how this will work?
I kind of agree with you, but maybe they'll do something that would just, like, everything is going to be level 50 now. Just take away the ranks in general, and maybe they'll just make things like higher rank elite mobs and stuff like that.
I have heard this too. It's kind of rumored around. I think this was introduced during the Guild Summit, that the developers are playing around with changing the way the veteran ranks are done, like that maybe you don't have to unlocking Cadwell's silver and Cadwell's gold at the same time, so you can choose where you want to go.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so they may be just doing away with it. When you hit veteran rank zones, you'll have the option of going to either whatever you would like without having to play through Cadwell's silver and then gold next. You may just unlock all of Tamriel at that point and be able to kind of choose your adventure. I think
that's the way it should be. That's way better.
I kind of hope they continue with the way that it is now, but just change the way the mobs are leveled. I like what they came up with. It's interesting and it's different.
What do you mean, like what they came up with, like the veteran ranks?
No, not necessarily the veteran ranks, but how when you finish the first part of the storyline, and then you open up the next area, and the way they do it lore-wise, they kind of like transforms you into this other person. I just think it's interesting. I don't want that to go away.
Okay.
I still want that to be there.
To be honest, when he changes you, though, it wouldn't matter which one you start first, because depending on what faction, it doesn't matter. I don't know.
I just feel like they shouldn't open it all up at once. They should still keep it where it makes you go this way first, and then this way. I don't know, I enjoy it. I've been enjoying the way it is.
But Elder Scrolls is all about freedom.
Yeah,
all about choices.
But we do have freedom, though. Just because they say, okay, because you played EP, you're going to Daggerfall now, you're not really losing choices.
Sure you are.
You are.
The basic...
Go
No.
first.
They're not nudging you. They're literally... Like, I think the nudging you would be unlocking it and going, silver's easier, gold's harder, but you pick which one you want to start first. That's a choice.
And
That's not nudging you. That's packing you up in a boat like a slave and shipping you somewhere, and this is where you're starting.
I will turn this boat around. Oh, okay, sure, yeah, sure.
So, but I honestly think that's what they're playing around with the idea, because I think they're not even really sure exactly how they want to do the champion system in terms of this leveling, because this was not part of their development. Like, champion system was not something they were planning on until there was such an outcry from players about veteran ranks. So I'm thinking they have to rethink a lot of their plans. And the best part about this is they're rethinking them, but then tossing them to us as players and going, this is what we're thinking. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you not? Before we commit resources, tell us what you like. And I like that a lot. So at least they're getting... As for expansions, extra levels, Honestly, if they do a gear treadmill, which I hope they do, extra content would just require a certain level of power to get into it. Levels are levels. I don't know. Some people, I've never seen the point of doing level caps, because if you constantly get better gear, it's essentially like level capping it anyway. But
no, I
don't know.
disagree with you. Level cap experience is one thing, gear is another. I can go grind 5,000 mobs and get a level, but getting a gear treadmill means I have to do something, an objective, a specific objective to get better versus spending time. One is effort, one is time. Completely different in my opinion. That's why I hated the VR14 thing. Because like the PvP or PvE or whatever, I want to be rewarded for skill, not time. And what I felt like I was just doing time, instead of, if I hit level 50, and the first raid tier is Fungal Grotto, and then I get the gear in Fungal Grotto to go on to Elden Root, or Elden Hollow, or whatever. Then I get that done, I go to Crypt of Hearts. That's what a normal progression thing is like, and that's what I like. It's just you can't go any further until you do the content, but the level is not holding you back from it.
Okay.
But they've learned their lesson already, so there's no point in rallying on that about that.
Sure. Okay. What about you, Kypster? Do you feel like level increases or
what?
I don't know. Like, do you have any over time, eventually, like they do plan on unlocking all of Tamriel, but how do you see them doing? How do we make our characters feel stronger? I mean, they could constantly keep adding champion points, I guess.
Yeah, champion points, ranks, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah. The only thing I like about champion points, because it does reward you for playing, but they can't have champion points as a barrier for entry. Because eventually you hit a point where you need to be playing for essentially 2 years before you can enter an area. That makes it hard for people to do new content, because the new content has a certain champion point level.
Or to get into the game in the first place.
Yeah, but, well, look at barrier of entry for, like, games like why am I drawing a blank on it?
Well, Warcraft you can just buy, so that's fine.
Well, yeah, you can just buy in that game. But, like, EVE Online, it has such a huge barrier of entry, because the people playing for years are so much vastly better, because they have all these resources. It's a very unforgiving game to get into.
Not necessarily, because you could play 5 years and lose your ship that you spent 5 years on and start all over.
It's true, but there's still a level of entry for people
I know.
that makes it very difficult. And if they tie anything like content to veteran rank or champion points, that makes it so that when new content comes out, people have to play old content till they have enough veteran points to get to the new content, or champion points rather, and no one will be doing, the people who were playing like Deltia, me, Thais, Kypster, who've been playing the entire time, will be on the new, we're not going to want to go back and do the old content. Like, who does AA anymore? But they can't do the next thing because they don't have enough points. Eventually content becomes so outdated in every game that you can't find people to do it. And by putting a barrier of entry, like champion points as a certain level, would make it hard. Level caps are easy because AA, Hellraw, all of our stuff is 50. Well, when the new thing comes out, it's 60. Well, I can now just level to 60, and if I want to go back to the old content, I can, because I'm overpowered and I don't need the full 12 people.
Level's fine, but not now. I mean, give it a year. We'll all forget the VR14 fiasco, and then VR16 comes out, no big, or whatever the champion level thing is, or whatever. Just hashtag too soon. We don't want it anymore. I mean, I'm done leveling, bro.
Level caps, you don't need to do level caps for minimum a year. I would say you're safe up to almost 2 or 3 years.
Just let this game simmer for a while, get it all squared away. We'll all be ready for we'll all be craving a level thing in a year and a half, and so that's fine.
Okay. And we have one more email.
Hey, I really enjoy your podcast. Great stuff. I was just curious, what is the music you play at the end of your podcasts? I am working on a music playlist for ESO and would like to add a couple more songs from Nines.
Nines.
Yeah. He actually had his thing for Deltia's Gaming, so... You know who this is?
Nines the Divine. He's my crafting guide guy. Yeah, he's sick.
Awesome. Well, Nines, there's several songs. If you've listened to our last episode, I switched up a little bit, and that was off the official Elder Scrolls Online soundtrack, and it was The Beauty of Dawn from Maluka. Now, the song I've been using for the majority of my podcast is actually off the Skyrim soundtrack. It's called Sovngarde. I love that song. So that's what I've been using for the actual end of my podcast. If you have any other questions, just let me know. Take a listen to either of those two, and we can go from there.
Well, you might as well. Do we want to keep going on the podcast and set the world record? We're already like 4 hours in.
Just keep going. Yeah, we're sending the world record podcast. Oh, we're ending it now because speaking of final thoughts and closing, so it was a good show. All right, so good. Final thoughts, and as you know, Kypster, why don't you go? Actually, you know what? You go first.
Ooh.
I always go first.
I know.
You were about to change that on me.
I know. You go first.
Okay. I'm just glad I made it through the podcast because I feel so sick right now. Whew.
Pregnancy is rough on you.
Oh, it's gonna be rough. So yes, I'm glad I made it through the podcast. It was a great show. I loved having Kypster here. The discussion topic was new and it was fresh, and I really enjoyed that. And the book was interesting. I liked learning about the Nahat flu. Although it was pretty funny because I kept calling it the Connaughton flu, I think, at first, until I said, no, sweetheart, no, that's not how you pronounce it.
Hey, I'm the Special Templar.
My special boy here. Great show.
He did good for what he did.
He did good for a Templar.
He did good for a Templar.
You can always find me in game at Teareater, Teareater, and on Twitter to send me all your twits at TwitQueenThais.
Awesome. All right, Deltia, how about you, good sir?
Oh, you can find me at deltiasgaming.com. Deltia's Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Yeah, great show. Good. We brought a PvEer on. We talked about PvP. I mean, come on. No, it's great. I mean, you got to quit reading those emails. I'm going to be crying on the show here on the stream. I can't hide it. You know what I mean? Like at a movie, you can kind of duck down. But that was really thoughtful email. That meant a lot. I love the community, and it just goes to show you, you keep talking about it, people keep listening. So thanks.
Nice. And actually, on part of that, I listen to a bunch of different podcasts who like crave for emails. I don't think we've ever had a shortage of emails. I love it. It's fantastic. I love our community. Like,
yeah, but absolutely. Do they read them? Do they actually read them, or they just say, no, it's negative, I'm not going to read it?
Some touch and go.
Yeah.
But like we have a very active community, and I love you guys for that. It's fantastic. All right, Kypster, why don't you give us your final thoughts for the show, and if you want to give out where people can find you, either on the interwebs or in-game.
Well, you can find me at Kypster in-game. That's Kypster. I guess you can find me on Twitter, too. That's at Schmidtface1, SCHMIDTFACE, the number 1. This show is great. I loved being here, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been a fan of this show since day one. You guys are great, and it's been a dream for me to come on here and talk with you guys and hang out. It's been a lot of fun.
Excellent. Oh, we had a lot of fun. You're always welcome, man. It was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was nice having someone on here other than Deltia.
I love having guests on the show.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, anytime you want to come on, dude, just send me a message. Go, hey, you need someone? Yeah, we love having another person to kind of break up the trio. Not monotony. It's never monotonous on this show.
Break up the fighting kids.
You saw the email. Like, people love our little chemistry we have here. It's fun. We have a good group of people.
I love Deltia. He knows that.
Yeah, and I mean, I abuse Kypster like constantly in game, make him run me stuff.
Well, someone has to carry the Templar.
Yeah, someone has to carry the Templar. So
I don't mind doing it. I love it. I love playing with you guys.
So yeah, he's a fantastic part of our community, and I mean, he does a lot for Thais and I, especially whenever I need carry.
So. He is very patient. When we run dungeons with Kypster, he lets us listen to all the voice acting and read all the books.
We tried to do a dungeon one time using just the pug system, and people were yelling at us because we were listening to the voice actors. So I was like, I can't do it. So the first time I run a dungeon, I always run it with Kypster because he'll sit there and wait. He's like, I don't care. Guys, go ahead. I listen to your podcast. I know what you do. Just
no problem.
Thoroughly appreciate and love you, Kypster, for putting up with us.
We're like poking around in chess. Oh, look, a book. Let's read it. And he just sits there, just like, yeah, go for it, dude. And then we're like, okay, we're done. Oh, you're done already? I just went and got coffee or something.
I just remember that one dungeon where it's like a huge library of bookcases everywhere.
They went through it all? They literally went through it?
No, they didn't. They spared me, but I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going to go do something. You guys have fun reading. And then
the best part is he didn't really fight us. He's like, he walked in the room and just stopped. He's like, go at it. Because it was a full room of nothing but bookshelves. I actually felt so bad. I told him, I'm like, we can't do this to him. We can't.
We heard his heart breaking as he walked into the room.
But I knew he was dying.
So after we were done, we went back and we swear he was jumping for joy.
This is like the Hogwarts library. It was just massive. You walk in like,
wow.
But we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn for final thoughts. I do want to thank all my co-hosts for joining me. Kypster, again, you're welcome anytime you want. Just let us know. We have a couple people who are on that rotating list. If anytime you want to hop on the show, just let us know, guys. I really want to do this interview with a raider. I asked Kypster a while ago about this, and he was kind of unsure about hopping on, and I'm glad he finally was jumped on because I've wanted to talk about this for such a long time because I'm a raider at heart. It's what I love to do, but because I level slow in ESO because the story's so good that I can't talk about it myself yet from a first-person perspective.
You're going to love it.
Because I haven't got up to there yet.
If I like Dragonstar Arena, you're going to love it.
Oh, I played Dragonstar Arena on the PTS with these guys. And
yeah, but playing and sitting there for 30 hours on a weekend, it's way different.
We were in there for quite a few hours, I think. But it was so much fun, and I'm glad you finally came on and allowed me to do this. You can ask Deltia. This interview with a raider has been on our show notes.
It's been the title for. It's been the title for like 6 shows.
Yeah, like 6 weeks, and I always have backup discussion because I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm like, I'm not giving up on this. I want this. So I'm glad we finally got to do it. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. I do want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast. You know, just judging from the emails above and stuff, keep writing us emails, iTunes reviews. We'll read them. We love talking to you guys. It's fantastic. If you wish to help support the podcast, you can feel free to donate via PayPal link on our website or tell a friend about us. You don't have, if you want to support us financially, you can. That's great. And a lot of people have, and we really appreciate it. But what anyone can do is just tell people about, our show or about Deltia's gaming. Just tell people about us so that we can be exposed to more people and they can see.
Or Schmidt Face 1.
Or Schmidt Face 1. How about Kypster? Rent a Kip. He's very cheap to run dungeons. A little bit of gold. And
pay him 2 bug loss. He's happy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, bug loss is
ladies not, please.
Bug loss, as Java Who says it.
Bug loss. But yeah, so tell a friend about us. That alone is fantastic. If you wish to contact us with questions, comments, criticisms, the website for the show is talesoftamriel.com. You can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com as well, and we'll get that. You can follow the show on Twitter at Tales of Tamriel, Facebook at facebook.com/talesoftamriel podcast. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes. I promise I will get better about checking the EU side. If you're from another country other than EU, please send us like a little mail saying that you wrote a review so I can get it, please. I'm so sorry, but I don't check them that often. If you missed the live show or want to catch up on past broadcasts, our YouTube exclusive content, which is Aggelos' Saga, you can subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode, everybody. Have a good night.